welcome to Big Boof Bets. It's the Get That Money podcast. I am Nate Stevenson, and as always, I'm joined by Mr. Big Boofy Skierman and Mr. Tony T-Bone Guarino. I know how I'm doing, guys, which I'll get into, so I'll start off with you. How are you guys doing this week?
I'm okay. I'm going to give you my, generic NFL head coach response here. And, that wasn't our best effort last week. We're gonna learn from it. We're gonna put it behind us, and I'm ready to move on to next week.
Yes, that's putting it lightly, I would say. How about you, Tone?
It's beginning to look a lot like Eunice. Maybe not quite yet. The Blizzard of Locks may not have dumped the heavy units as we expected, but it is a holiday week, and in the spirit of Christmas giving, I hope that we are able to give many, many units to all of our listeners out there for Week 16.
How about you, Nate? How you doing?
Boof! It's one of the rougher weeks I've had in quite some time. I gotta say, I had parlays just were poo. A lot of my bets were poo. But dude, even the props I had on Monday night with the way the Steeler game went, most of those were poo. My fantasy lineup for the playoffs made two horrible decisions, which cost me getting into the championship. Even advised a friend on his fantasy lineup, which probably cost him winning his playoff matchup as well. So pretty much everything that really, really mattered to me in the NFL betting and fantasy landscape sucked for me last week. So I'm definitely looking to rebound this week.
Yeah, that's really all you can do.
Agreed. And I think it's safe to say that the locks are looking for a rebound this week as well. So let's look at last week's devastation first before we get into a nice little profitable Week 16.
Well, locks went 6-9-2. Losers were Packers and Panthers over 51, Bears and Vikings under 47, 49ers -3, Seahawks -5.5, Bucks -5.5, Rams -16.5, Jets under 13.5, their team total, that is. Cardinals and Eagles under 49.5, and the Steelers -12. We were fortunate enough to win some as well. Those were the Chargers +3.5, Chargers and Raiders over 53, Bills -6.5, Ravens -13.5, Dolphins and Patriots under 41.5, Browns and Giants to go under 45.5. We had two pushes. Colts were -7 and Chiefs -3. And we had a conditional pick that did not become available, sadly. The Browns -3. Props went 42 and 45. And our totals for the year, locks are now 72, 61, and 4 with a 54.14% success rate. And the props are 153 and 126 with a 54.84% success rate.
All right, well, still positive units, which brings me lots of cheers. So let's spread that holiday cheer and start things off with the Christmas game, which is the Minnesota Vikings at the New Orleans Saints. Saints laying 7 in the over-under at 51.5.
Well, the Saints are taking on what has proven to be their nemesis the past couple years, at least in the playoffs anyway. So I think that's something to keep in mind. But more importantly, for the Saints, the Vikings do not have the same personnel on defense that they have the first couple years. They're not as good against the pass or rushing the passer. That is very important. Also, you're looking at a Minnesota team that I think it can be questioned how motivated they're going to really be to play this game. Like, they just lost what was basically a de facto elimination game for the playoffs last week against the Bears. And now they have to travel down to New Orleans against the Saints team that still has a lot to play for, still fighting for the number 1 seed, still fighting to secure the division title. And that definitely says to me that the Saints should win this game. How comfortably is the issue that's in doubt, because Drew Brees is still coming back from his rib injury. He actually completed under 50% of his passes last week. And then you have no Michael Thomas, which also is an issue for their offense. So we're looking at a touchdown here against a Vikings team that does have some firepower on offense. I like the Saints to win, but I just can't make myself lay the touchdown here. So gonna pass the spread, and the total doesn't look too enticing either. So just a full pass for me.
If you made me, I would take the Vikings +7. They beat them straight up in the playoffs last season. Breeze did not look great against the Chiefs. Like you said, they don't have Michael Thomas. The biggest pause for concern for me is just the Vikings looked like crap against the Bears last week. I do think the Saints are better than the Bears. So it's tough for me to get on that one completely. I am going to pass.
All right, well, let's move on over into some more Saturday action this week, and we'll start things off there with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Detroit Lions. The Bucks laying 9.5, and your over/under at 54.
Knee-jerk reaction here is lay the 9.5 with Tampa Bay, but honestly, a lot of those knee-jerk reactions for Tampa Bay this year have not been very good because everyone just assumes, like we have mistakenly several times this year, is they have Tom Brady, they have all this offensive firepower, they should just scrub people. And they haven't been. They've either been losing games they shouldn't have been or not expected to lose, or not winning games by nearly as much as they've been expected to win. So now you're facing a Lions team that, I mean, let's be real, they suck, but sometimes they can be pesky. And you have to win by 10, and you combine what I just said about those two teams, I don't think either side's a good side. So as much as I would love to lay the points at Tampa Bay, I am not going to take the bait, and I'm going to pass.
Yeah, I like the Bucks to win. I think they can cover this number, but it's too high of a number for me to have confidence that they will cover the number. It's a pass for me.
All right, sticking with Saturday, we'll move on to the San Francisco 49ers at the Arizona Cardinals. The 49ers are getting 4.5, and the over/under is 48.5.
So if this game was at 4 or lower for the Cards here, I would love to take Arizona. But that hook on the 4, combined with Arizona's struggles over the past month to month and a half, just I can't. It's not something in good conscience I can feel good about. Last week, I will say, Kyler Murray did seem to finally start to look like his old self. Threw for over 400 yards, started running the ball a lot more. Now, part of me wonders, like, how much was that the fact that Philly had a decimated secondary? So the verdict's still out there a little bit, but you have a San Francisco team that has kind of been a little bit Jekyll and Hyde with Nick Mullins at quarterback. Sometimes they look good on offense, sometimes they don't. Last week against the Cowboys was both in the same game. No Deebo Samuel that for San Francisco would lead me to believe they're going to struggle to score a little bit more than they have been when they are going good. So all that being said, if I can get Arizona at -4 or lower, I will take them. Beyond that, can't say much more.
Yeah, I guess I feel the same way, but even slightly less confidence in Arizona than you do. I do think a lot of Kyler Murray's success last week was because of the issues with the Eagles secondary. I don't know if he'll be able to just repeat that performance against the 49ers. These two teams did play in week 1. It was a 4-point Cardinal victory. Different personnel, obviously, in that one. Jimmy G and Kittle did play. Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel did not. Ayuk has been excellent down the stretch here for the 49ers. Still no word if Deebo is going to play or not. And I think the Cardinals' offense in general has been a lot worse for the last month. I would need to see it again out of them before I can start betting on them. So it's a pass.
All right, the final Saturday matchup is the Miami Dolphins at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Dolphins laying 2.5, and the over/under at 47.5.
Big thing with this game here is you have strength against strength and weakness against weakness. You have a Vegas offense, which is pretty solid when it's clicking, going against a Miami defense that's one of the best in the league. And then you have a Miami offense, which has a ton of injuries, going against a Vegas defense, which is injured and not very good. So there's just way too much uncertainty with all of that. So we are not going to pull the slot machine here in Vegas, and we're just going to walk away.
Yeah, to add to the uncertainty, we're not 100% sure that Mariota is going to start over Carr or not. I think he is. And even so, I mean, we had a very small sample size to go off of last week. He looked great, but how are you going to look when a team is truly preparing for you here? Still got to see that question be answered before I start betting on them. It's a pass for me.
All right, well, that takes us on over into Sunday, where we'll start things off with the Atlanta Falcons at the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs laying 11, and the over-under at 53.5.
Oh, Boof. This is I'm about to really surprise you here. I can't believe I'm going to do this, but I kind of like the points with Atlanta against my boys.
Wow. Nate going against the Chiefs.
I mean, I ain't saying they're going to lose. I mean, so let's not take it that far here. I mean, Chiefs, Chiefs going to get it done. But the Chiefs haven't been blowing really anybody out for 2 months now, really. And Atlanta, as much as they've kind of been an enigma for us for almost 2 seasons now, they're still playing hard for Raheem Morris, and they're keeping games close. The Chiefs don't have a good defense. Atlanta does still have a very capable offense, whether or not Julio plays, which is looking like he might not, but obviously if he does, that's even better. But I mean, Calvin Ridley last week went off without Julio. He definitely has the capability to be a pure number one. And then obviously, like I said, if you have Julio, that's even better for the Atlanta offense. We're getting double-digit points against a KC team that just seems to kind of coast through games and turn it on when they need to. I think that's a good bet. So I'm going to take 11 points with the Falcons here.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the Chiefs have kind of seemed a little disinterested in some of these games lately. They have actually not covered the number of 10. It's been 7 weeks since that happened, and that was against the Jets. So Atlanta's looked pretty good recently. The Chiefs have been winning games, but they've mostly been one-possession games. I think we see a repeat of that. And I'm on board with the Atlanta Falcons plus 11. It's our first lock of the week.
I think that might be a first time ever that I can remember, Booth, a lock against the Chiefs. So we're going to lock it in. And get that money anyway, baby.
Love it. Love it.
All right, up next we have the Chicago Bears at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Bears laying 7.5, and the over/under at 46.5.
I gotta say, Boof, the Bears, ever since Mitch got back under center here, they look like a different team, and he looks like a different quarterback. It's like I don't know what happened. So they've looked pretty good the last couple games on offense. Against subpar teams, they're facing another subpar team in Jacksonville. The hook with the 7 bothers me though, because like it would normally bother me to lay a touchdown with Chicago anyway. Laying over a touchdown is really concerning to me. So as much as recent performance here by the Bears would say I should take the 7.5, I'd feel much more comfortable laying the 7. I'm going to start there. Going over to Jacksonville, they now control their own destiny to draft Trevor Lawrence. If they lose their last 2 games, they get Trevor Lawrence. Like, that's just a fact. And I was saying to Booth pre-show that I see no freaking way that the Jaguars win these last 2 games. And it wouldn't surprise me, quite frankly, if you even had a little mandate from above to the head coach, like, hey, listen, you let on like we're trying to win, but I want you to literally put us in the worst position to win these games as possible and not make it obvious, because we're about to get a franchise-changing player. Like, that happens in sports. It's happened in all the major professional sports. You just don't hear about it. And that's honestly another factor I think that matters in this game. Combine all of that, I think the Bears is the right side here.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I mean, they looked great against Minnesota last week. I hate the number being over 7. So I agree with you. I think we wait it out, hope to get it back down to 7. And I think that's how we're going to play it. We're going to go Bears conditionally -7 as a conditional lock.
Oh, yeah, lock it in. Get that money. Conditionally.
All right, moving on, we have the Cincinnati Bengals at the Houston Texans. The Texans laying 8, and the over/under at 46.5.
Two teams that suck. One team that sucks a lot less. And the big reason for that is they have a Pro Bowler quarterback named Deshaun Watson. So give me the Texans here. If we can get it down to a touchdown, because I don't like the -8, I'm thinking we're going to get some public overreaction to that Bengals surprising, basically kind of beatdown of our boys here. So yeah, if we can get the Texans down to a touchdown, I'm in.
I don't know how confident I am that we'll get it down to 7, but I do think it's at least waiting to find out. So if we can get Houston at -7, I'm with you on that. We're going to conditionally lock that. If not, if you really want to play it, you can, I would say, tease the Texans with the Bears, and you can get those two at a much more attractive number, 1.5 and 2. And I think you can feel pretty good about both of those. So that's something I would definitely entertain, would be a Texans and Bears teaser.
I like that.
Just a little food for thought. So we're going conditional Texans -7. And I recommend a Texans and Bears teaser as well.
Oh, yeah, lock it in. Get that money. Conditionally.
All right, up next we have the Cleveland Browns at the New York Jets. The Browns laying 9.5, and the over/under at 47.5.
Tony, I got to correct you to start off here. I think you meant the future division champion, Cleveland Browns.
Is this a joke?
Surprisingly, that is a real thing at this point here. Like, the Browns literally, if the Browns beat the Jets and the Steelers lose to the Colts, which with how they've looked recently is very possible, we're looking at a Week 17 showdown with the Browns and the Steelers for the division. So as a Steeler fan, that's both mind-boggling and horrifying. So, yeah, I'm still struggling to comprehend that. But the Browns, I really think smell blood in the water here, man. Like they take care of business against the Jets. They're looking really, really good, and they're only laying 9.5 against the Jets team. Rams game withstanding, still really, really sucks. And I think this is a game where the Browns just come to town, ready to take care of business. They're going to pound the rock. They're going to use that play action game with Baker. And I know we've kind of been disrespecting the Browns a little bit this year, but I got to start to question whether or not that the Steelers are the fraud instead of the Browns. And it's time to really start giving that some serious thought. And I'm going to take the Browns, laying the 9.5 here.
Yeah, I mean, the Browns just played the Giants, who I do consider to be better than the Jets, despite the Jets' performance last week. And they had no problem covering this number. So we're going to be in the same stadium again. Cleveland is rolling. Cleveland is hot. The Jets finally got their win, so I think their emotional high is going to come right back down to a low here as they get whooped by Cleveland. I'm going to lay the points as well. Browns -9.5. It's a lock for us.
Oh, yeah, lock it in. Get that money. Hashtag 2020.
All right, up next we have the Indianapolis Colts at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Colts only laying 1.5, probably could lay 21.5, and the over/under at 44.5.
Boof, I so literally have to gather my thoughts from that travesty last night. So just you just take it from here.
Okay, so it's kind of funny. I texted Tony and Nate this morning when I saw the Colts at -2.5. And I was like, get it while you can, guys. Like, don't let it go up. So I placed that bet this morning. And sure enough, it actually went down to 1.5 here. So I love the Colts there. Beyond that, the over-under at the time was not available. It is now, and it's 45 points. For me, this is under all the way. And the Steelers are starting to remind me of last year's team where they were good on defense and just atrocious on offense. And teams have kind of followed the Ravens blueprint from the second time around here, where just do not respect the Steelers' running game at all, do not respect their deep passing game at all, and the Steelers are just going to really struggle to move the ball on you. Now, the Colts come in with one of the best defenses in the league. The Steelers couldn't move it at all against Cincinnati. I think they had 9 yards of offense or something in the first half. I don't expect that to get any better against a significantly better Colts defense. Then you flip it around. Indy can score a little bit, but Phillip Rivers is not as good against a good pass rush. Now, the Steelers' pass rush has not been quite as good without Bud Dupree, but it's still solid. So I do think this one will be a little bit lower scoring, and I expect the Colts to win. Both of those, to me, are lock-worthy.
So I'm going to do my best to not let Yinzer Nate sway my thoughts here too much, but just being real with everybody here, the Steelers have lost 3 straight games in December for the 3rd year in a row. That's 3 years in a row. That's not good. That's crunch time. That's when you want to be getting hot, not literally going the other way. Now, you know, I think a lot of people would expect me to be like, oh, fire Tomlin, which we'll get to that. But right now, I think the biggest problem is just you have key components on the Steelers offense that are just, they're getting old. Big Al Villanueva, love him to death. Awesome dude. Hasn't looked good this year. Big Ben looked good the beginning part of the year. Hasn't looked good ever since people have figured out what the Steelers offense really is. I think they have a lot of problems. I think the offensive coordinator is also a problem, but let's be real. Big Ben's the offensive coordinator, so he's problem number 1. Beyond that, I'm willing to give Mike Tomlin the benefit of the doubt here with what he's dealing with his quarterback. But once you get some new blood on offense, if that doesn't change, it might be time for him to go too, because sometimes your message just gets stale, and that's another concern I'm having here. With 3 years in a row, like I said, of 3 losses in a row, that's a problem. So I know a long spiel here. That's just the Yinzer and me coming out here, but trying to be logical. I agree with you, Boof, as much as I hate to do it. Laying the points with the Colts and taking the under because the Steelers offense looks like crap. So, yeah, let's lock him in.
Oh, yeah, lock him in. Get that money.
Twice.
All right, the final 1 o'clock game for Sunday is the New York Giants at the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens laying 10.5 and the over-under at 45.5.
The Ravens just seem to be sharpening the sword, man, and getting hot at the right time after getting through all their COVID issues. And the Giants, with their injury questions at quarterback, whether it's going to be Daniel Jones with what he's dealt with, which as he has shown, if he can't use his legs is a big issue. So even if he does play, he's not going to be fully healthy. If he doesn't, you still have Colt McCoy, who's just not a good quarterback at this point in his career, / really has ever been. And like I said, the Ravens just scrub bad teams, as I've said many, many times. And the Giants are a bad team. The whole NFC least is bad. The Giants are also bad. So give me the Ravens minus 10.5. And that is one of my favorite bets of the week.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the Ravens look great, and I expect them to continue to kick butt against some weaker opponents here. I am down to lay the minus 10.5, and it's another lock for us.
Oh, yeah, lock it in. Get that money.
All right, that takes us into the 4 o'clock games for Sunday. We'll start things off there with the Carolina Panthers at the Washington Football Team. The WFT laying 2.5 and the over-under at 44.5.
The big thing that's affecting which way I feel really confident going in this game is the injury situation for the Washington Football Team. If I knew for a fact that Dwayne Haskins was playing, I would be hardcore leaning Panthers and waiting for a 3. If I knew that Antonio Gibson and Alex Smith were both going to play for Washington, I would be leaning, if not taking, Washington here. So those are a couple big factors. I like Teddy to cover key numbers. So if this got to 3, if only one of either Antonio Gibson or Alex Smith played, I'd like the Panthers at +3. But considering there's a lot of ifs and moving parts with this one, I would say your best bet is to just wait and see who is playing and then go from there.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. Too much uncertainty, so I'm not going to bet it, You just got to wait it out and get a little clearer injury picture and go from there.
All right, moving on, we have the Denver Broncos at the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers laying 3, and the over-under at 48.5.
Boof, I'm going to break a rule this week.
Don't do that.
I'm going to do it. Yeah, you want to take a wild guess as to what that rule is?
Oh, it may or may not have to do with getting or not getting points with the Chargers.
That is true. More importantly, getting points or not getting points with Anthony Lynn. Yes. But see, Boof,
Explain yourself.
There is a key cog in this decision this week. The Broncos also have a really, really crappy head coach. So, I'm thinking the head coaches are going to cancel each other out. You have the crappiness of Vic Fangio and the crappiness of Anthony Lynn kind of just meeting in the middle and letting it all play out on the field between the actual players. And the Chargers have the better player at the most important position, and that is Justin Herbert at quarterback. He has looked really, really good most of this year. He is going to be your offensive rookie of the year. The Chargers are only laying a field goal at home, so that means the Broncos don't have the altitude advantage, and they have a decimated secondary, which is a very, very important thing going against Herbert and his blossoming group of wide receivers. So give me the Chargers, -3.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch the Broncos and Bills game, Bills went up and down the field on them, no problem. I do think the Chargers offense is of similar quality. The Broncos on defense are just getting crushed by the injury bug. So I don't see how they're going to be able to keep up with the Chargers. It is only 3 points. I'm down to lay it. Chargers -3. It's a lock for us.
Oh, yeah, lock it in. Get that money. Go Chargers.
Up next, we have the Los Angeles Rams at the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks laying 1.5, and the over-under at 47.5.
Yeah, I'm not going to take the bait last week with the horrible performance by the Rams against the Jets. I really, truly believe that that was a situation where they were looking past a Jets team that they just assumed was just going to lay down because they want the number 1 pick. And also they were looking ahead to the Seahawks game this week because it's basically for the division title. We're getting 1.5 points. First game, the Rams handled the Seahawks to the tune, I believe it was 24-16. Jalen Ramsey shut down DK, which is huge for that Seattle offense. And that was, I believe, before the Seahawks started to not let Russ cook, which is just a horrible decision. The Seahawks have continued to not let Russ cook, which means they have not been scoring nearly as much points. The Rams are a hardcore ground and pound play action team, which also keeps that clock running. So you take all that into consideration. I like the Rams to both win the game and for the game to go under. And I'm going to double lock both of those, Boof, if you're down with me.
I think I am going to be down with doing that with you, Nate. Should be noted that Cam Akers is not expected to play. But if you go back and look at the first game, he only had 10 carries for 38 yards. So he was a bit of a non-factor in that one anyway. Beyond that, the Rams have won 5 out of 6 against the Seahawks. And in the one game that they did lose, it was a 1-pointer. So they have, in fact, covered this 6 times in a row. Give me the Rams plus 1.5 and give me the under 47.5. 2 locks for us in this one.
Oh, yeah, lock it in. Get that money. Twice.
All right, the final 4 o'clock game on Sunday is the Philadelphia Eagles at the Dallas Cowboys. The Eagles laying 2, and the over-under at 49.5.
Jalen Hurts might be a decent NFL quarterback. I must say, I've been pleasantly surprised by what I've seen from him. When people were talking about him going second round of the draft, I was like, he's not even going to be as good as Dak Prescott. And I'm not saying he's going to be yet, but I got to say, the first 2 games, he's looked pretty damn good. And he threw for over 300 yards last week against the Cardinals. I'm sorry, but the Actually, I'm not sorry. There's no excuse and nothing to be sorry for the Cowboys defense. They just suck. The Cowboys defense way worse than the Arizona defense, which is not a bad defense. And Philly's laying 2. I think I'm going to go with Philly here. A lot of motivation on their part, a lot of motivation on Jalen Hurts' part, and I think that offense gets it done here against the Cowboys. Lay the points with Philly.
So I read an article. It was either yesterday or it was on Sunday, but basically it was talking about how Philadelphia and I think the Packers over the last, or maybe it was the Seahawks. Maybe it was Philadelphia and the Seahawks. But it was over the last 3 seasons. The Eagles actually are tied for the best record in December in the NFL. And sure enough, this year they look like crap. And we get to December and they get that upset win over the Saints. And then they looked good against the Cardinals, didn't quite get the W. But now they're playing the Cowboys, who are terrible against the run. And we got Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders, who are running the ball very effectively lately. I think we see more of that. And I like the Eagles to win the game and cover -2. So Eagles -2, it's a lock for us.
Oh, yeah, lock it in. Get that money.
Okay, the Sunday night football game is the Tennessee Titans at the Green Bay Packers. The Packers laying 3 and the over-under at 56.5.
The Titans are really good at running the ball with Derrick Henry. The Packers are really bad at stopping the run. The Packers, conversely, are really, really good throwing the ball, obviously. Aaron Rodgers, one of the GOATs, future Hall of Famer. Titans, really bad at defending the pass and sacking the quarterback. That's just a whole bunch of strength versus weakness in this game. So at a field goal, I think the line is right because I understand where that's coming from. If I had to pick anything, I would lean over at 56.5. But I mean, the Titans defense is pretty bad in general, and the Packers run D is pretty bad. So it's probably gonna be a lot of running on both sides, and then a lot of completed passes on the Packers side, since Aaron Rodgers, could basically just get on a recliner in the pocket and not have to worry about anything. So I'd lean Packers -3. I'd lean over, but nothing I feel comfortable locking.
Yeah, I mean, as far as who wins, I could see this game going either way. These are 2 good teams. Your breakdown to me is accurate, and that tells you, it screams over, but the number's just so high. I mean, it's 56.5 points. I'm passing.
Yeah, that's a lot of running clock there.
All right, that takes us to our final matchup for Week 16, which is the Monday Night Football game between the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots. Bills laying 7, over-under of 46.
All right, I've said it before. I can finally now say it. The Patriots dynasty is dead. It's dead. They are eliminated from playoff contention. They are in player evaluation mode the last 2 games of the year. Like I felt something lift off my shoulders just being able to say that as a Steeler fan. It feels so good. The Patriots suck. I love it. Now we're going against the Bills. The Bills are like one of my adopted favorite teams here. I mean, I know part of that's your influence, Boof.
It's a circle of wagons, baby.
Exactly, real recognized real. I mean, Bills, man. Josh Allen, that offense, Stephon Diggs, they look really, really good. Defense has been getting it together after how good they looked last year. We're laying a touchdown against a Patriots team that is in talent evaluation mode. That looks pretty juicy to me. I'll lay the points with the Bills.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. The first game, the Bills only won 24-21. But Damian Harris had 102 yards rushing in that one. He will not be available in this game. And Stephon Gilmore is likely out for the year for New England. So they really don't have an answer for Stephon Diggs. And the Josh Allen to Stephon Diggs connection has just been amazing lately. I think the Bills can cover this no problem. Like you said, the Patriots don't have a whole lot left to play for. Bills -7. It's another lock for us.
Oh, yeah, lock it in. Get that money. Circle the wagons.
All right, well, that wraps up Week 16's action. Before I toss it over to you, Boof, I'd just like to stop and say happy holidays to everyone. Stay safe out there, and I hope that you all find stockings full of units. Now, as always, back to you, Boof, to wrap up this week's locks.
Thanks, Tone. We can do that. Not quite as many as last week. We have the Falcons plus 11, Bears minus 7 conditionally, Texans minus 7 conditionally, Browns minus 9.5, Colts minus 1.5, Colts and Steelers to go under 45, Ravens minus 10.5, Chargers minus 3, Rams plus 1.5, Rams and Seahawks under 47.5, Eagles minus 2, and Bills minus 7. And Nate, you got any parlays for the people this week?
We always got parlays for the people, baby. Hoping to hit one of them this year. We got a 3-tier parlay system this week. And we're going to start off with a 12-legger. Going a little more conservative here, just trying to get people into that money. We're going to go all money lines for these teams. Saints, Tampa Bay, Arizona, Bears, Texans, Browns, Ravens, Chargers, Eagles, and Bills. And then we are going to buy some points on the KC Atlanta game down to 47.5 and take the over. That's only minus 250. And we're going to buy some points on the LA Rams Seattle game up to 54.5 and take the under. And that is a 12-leg parlay that gives you plus 34.21 on the odds. So $100 bet will win you $100 bet will win you $3,421. Now I will caution everybody. I would love to take the Ravens halftime full-time line instead of their money line, because I feel very confident about that, but that is not yet currently available on FanDuel, which is where we make our podcast parlays. So just food for thought there. And then the second round, or the second tier of this parlay, we are going to subtract the Texans money line and the Chargers money line and buy a few more points in the Rams Hawks game up to 58.5, which will give you a 10-leg parlay for plus 1477, which means $100 bet win you $1,477. And then our last round of the parlay, the third round or third tier, it's a 7-leg parlay, is the Saints money line, Tampa Bay money line, Arizona money line, Bears money line, Browns money line, Ravens money line, or Ravens halftime full time if you can find it, but we're going with the Ravens money line, and the Bills money line. And that is a 7-leg parlay for plus 444 on the odds, which means a $100 bet will win you $444. So, which means if you completely follow the system to a T and you lose the first 2 legs, you are still making $144.
Well, that sounds awesome, man. Thank you for sharing. Hey, Merry Christmas, guys. Happy holidays. Best of luck to you, and let's get that money.
Oh, yeah. Get that money. Merry Christmas, everybody.